graph science video. So I have gotten a useless pile of crap response from Hythloday. He doesn't want to discuss anything rationally ever. His terms are impossible. He has double standards, and that's all there are. So he won't concede Feynman inaccurately described reality to defend a paradox that doesn't exist. And so he just won't admit it. It's a fact, but he won't admit it. So this is the crap he provides instead. Rationalizations and excuses. Excuses, I won't be given this latitude. I certainly won't be allowed to make up fake experimental results to defend my arguments. This asshole, uses petty, trivial crap as arguments against what I state. He misparaphrases it constantly. I mean, it's just so fucking dishonest. And now he's saying that orbits are always circular, when I've plainly stated I don't believe there's any such thing as a circle. He's saying I have to account for circular orbits. Why? I don't believe anything orbits in a circle. No piece of matter, no nuclear matter ever orbits in a perfect circle. Ever. Ever. It's going all over the fucking place. It's exactly the point. I mean, I've used the word Elysium 50 times.
Luskin says he's trying to give...
I've turned the volume way down just because I know there's been lots of distortion. I can't hear, so I have to have the volume way up to here. But hopefully you'll be able to hear it adequately without distortion.
Give you the ultimate experience without bullshit and physics woo. They still have to fuzz over little details.
Okay, so he's saying it's a little detail. Single slit diffraction is a little detail. It completely blows up the Copenhagen interpretation. So it sort of just leaves you with many worlds or something. Because there's no Copenhagen interpretation, right? If the single slit is producing wave interference. There's no such thing now. Alright? You can't, there's nothing, there's no way to create the two independent waves without the double slit as the excuse for it. I mean, it's a significant fact. It's not an insignificant bit of minutia. The fact that there's single slit diffraction is significant. The fact that it's rather significant diffraction. I mean, you can do it. You can see the diffraction yourself. It's significant. And we're just supposed to pretend it doesn't exist for the sake of a theoretical argument. We're supposed to misdescribe reality, and that's okay. He's just doing it to what? It's the premise of his argument, for fuck's sake. You can't be wrong about that.
They don't not get caught up in minutia.
There we go. It's minutia. It's a minutia fact that there's single slit diffraction. That's minutia. It has nothing to do with the fact that we're trying to say that the double slit is creating the circumstances creating the wave interference. So we're saying that the pattern is not a diffraction pattern, it's a wave interference pattern. And to do that, though, it's kind of necessary that we just ignore the fact that there's single slit diffraction, because we don't want anybody thinking about that. I mean, this is just outrageous. Minutia. Minutia. It's fundamental to its math. It's fundamental to his argument that the math doesn't add up. That he has he puts a zero someplace where there's supposed to be a 2.7, and you're saying that's okay. It's okay to just forget about the 2.7, just put a zero there. It's okay. That's legitimate math.
So there's a difference between talking about something theoretically and what the actual practical results.
Right. Okay. So again, this is going to be the excuse because he's arguing from some theoretical point of view, which he really isn't, right? Because he's using practical, real descriptions of reality. He's saying this is what reality is doing. That's what he's saying in the video. He's saying this is what waves do, this is what bullets do, this is what electrons do. He's saying it explicitly. And explicitly he says there's no difference between electrons and photons. He says it right in the damn video, for fuck's sake. And here you are going to argue with me that I'm talking about photons, he was talking about electrons. He says explicitly in the video. Same exact thing. He says uses the word exactly the same. You don't even listen to the damn videos you post, you motherfucker.
Look like, and whether we're happy to say that the practical results are a good characterization of the theory, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, whatever. The theory is let's defend it with fake evidence. That's the theory, okay? That's the only thing being demonstrated or proven here, is that if you fake the evidence, you can defend anything. So why doesn't, when he was investigating the Challenger disaster, why didn't he just sit there and fake a photograph of the Gremlin drilling a hole in the fucking Challenger? Why bother with this fucking goddamn real world obligation to explain it in real physical terms when you can just make up the idea that gremlins did it by just ignoring the facts and making up facts? Fuck. This is just so fucking dishonest. I'm sorry. I was saying don't get angry, Gary. Don't bother. He's not worth it, and he's not. It's just pitiful that this is the kind of asshole I have to argue with. This fucking creepy double standard motherfucker. I mean, ironically, in this video, he's going to talk about up-down spin properties of electrons, and he says right in here, I mean, just this is just such a, it's just so fucking an indication of just how duplicitous this motherfucking cunt is. Try to think of a physical explanation for the probability of spin up and down test. So here he's saying, go ahead, now debunk some other pile of shit. And if you debunk it, though, I'm just going to call it trivial. I'm just going to pretend you didn't debunk it. I'm just going to pretend that you didn't demonstrate that the guy's not telling the truth about what the facts are. Why should I do anything? Why should I make any argument to you? You will not respect it. I'll move up to 10 minutes. He goes on a insipid pile of shit tribe here.
Represent the facts of what is so blatantly in front of you, amendment, because.
So he just insulted me, saying I'm not recognizing some facts. Okay, so Feynman just misdescribed reality, and I'm the one who's missing the facts. Fuck.
It's very clear from the title, and Feynman explicitly saying he's talking about electrons here, and yet.
Okay, do I have to play the clip for you? Do I have to play it? All right, like 3 minutes, 4 minutes into the video, he says it's exactly the same for photons and electrons. I'm going to use electrons, and the only reason why he used electrons, we know, is because he wanted to talk about detectors. And obviously, there's no point in talking about detectors with photons, because that ain't going to happen. And that's the only reason why he chose electrons. We know the single slit experiment was done, and the double slit experiment was originally done with sunlight. So why is light now all of a sudden verboten? I can't use light. And in here, he's going to say something so preposterously stupid. Why don't you show me the single slit experiment with electrons? He couldn't. You can't Google that, you retard? I'm not going to Google it for you. I'll guarantee you 500,000 results. I'll guarantee you pages and pages of images of electrons going through single slits and there being diffraction. Jackass. It takes no research at all.
Throughout your video, you're talking about light. So,
yeah, so watch your own video. You post fucking videos and you don't even listen to them. Like I said, if Feynman couldn't have been more explicit, he said it's exactly the same. Those are the words he used. Exactly the same. So was he lying again? So is Feynman lying again?
So when I talk about things, I usually say, I have no. If I'm talking on behalf of Leonard Susskind, and I say he says these things, I have an idea where I can go and get him saying these things. So if you want to call me out and wrong, or if I
Yeah, I'm calling you out. I'm calling you out on being a motherfucking cunt. All right? Feynman explicitly says it's exactly the same, electrons, photons, and here you are bringing it up like it matters. And then you're accusing me of saying single slit diffraction is minutia. You'll sit there and tell me something fundamental that he didn't accurately describe is fucking goddamn minutia. And this is the crap you will argue. I mean, you're just a duplicitous motherfucking hypocrite.
say Feynman says that, it's common knowledge. I do like to have an idea that I could really go, and that's why, I took you up on your challenge to go and look for the which way experiment, and found you.
Okay, we won't even bother with this because, yeah, that's just more evidence of how, yes, I was fucking correct and it's not fucking goddamn minutia. So, so that just makes the doctor, I mean, at least Feynman isn't guilty of doing that in this video anyway. I think he has done it in other videos. But anyway, the point is, yeah, this has just been one big fucking lie that's just been perpetuated in physics for as long as I've been watching physics lectures and videos. They just keep perpetuating this lie that some experiment was done that's never been fucking goddamn done. I mean, isn't that another strike? I mean, how many strikes until you say there's too many flaws in this premise? You can't premise a fucking argument based on this many inaccuracies. Alright, I'm going to jump ahead because this is just, like I said, this is just him conceding I was right.
In answer to your question about this particular Feynman video, I'd like this particular criticism that this distribution is wrong. You're talking about there being interference patterns with single slits. You're talking about photons. I'd like you to cite a reference where you see not the probability distribution that Feynman shows. Show an example.
Well, again, I don't have to, okay? Everybody already knows of these distributions. I mean, anybody who's done any research on single slit diffraction, so this is just a ludicrous. I mean, look, you want me to do it, I'll do it. I just go to my history here. Electron diffraction single slit. There you go. Google search. I mean, any asshole could have done this. Well, here, I have to open a new tab. I really hate that about this history thing, is that, they force you to open a new tab just to, I can't just open the history in a new window, which is really stupid. So there's the Google search. There it is. All kinds of images of all kinds of experiments of single slits with fucking electrons. Electrons. The same proportion, the same intensities. The same as a photon. The same, there it is. It's there. It's there. Come on, bullshit man. What the fuck are you talking about? You don't even research your own critiques. You fucking hypocrite.
Example of electrons through single slits, showing a diffraction pattern.
Anything, electron or photon being propelled next to a surface is going to cause diffraction. That's the point here. And Heisenberg is a pile of shit. I mean, this is all about Heisenberg. I mean, this isn't even about diffraction or quantum mechanics. This is about this ludicrous notion that it has something to do with measurement. That somehow if you know where something is, it can't be there anymore. This is just a crock of shit.
Even in the case of photons, where there is a possible diffraction pattern, through.
It's not a possible, it's a definite phenomenon. You want me to take you to the fucking MIT lecture? The guy shoots a green laser through an adjustable single slit. He closes the slit. The diffraction pattern gets bigger and bigger and more pronounced, more pronounced. Because yes, the probability of the light going next to the slit increases as you make the slit smaller. Duh. Duh.
Single slit. It's questionable about how that experiment's set up. What I mean is the size of that slit.
Yeah, that's the whole fucking point. It has nothing to do with the goddamn size, okay? You'll get some pattern, no matter what size it is, almost. Well, I mean, obviously it can't be bigger than the light. You're shining on it. But, yeah, the tighter you make it, the more diffraction you're going to receive. The more pattern you'll have.
Yeah. And when this phenomena, although probably always present, you know, when it's maximally...
Yeah, this isn't even part of the argument. Once again, the slit size is dependent on the wavelength of the light you're using. So to optimize the effect, you optimize the slit size. But once again, the argument is the single slit is exactly the same size as the double slits. Exactly the same size. There's no argument here. Feynman didn't imply anything else. He's talked about covering one slit and uncovering a slit. It was exactly the same size slit. So what the fuck is this bullshit argument? Oh, that's right. It's a bullshit argument.
Observable, and when it's something that the reasons why the physicists may or may not be concerned with it at that time, why it's not of interest or of importance.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's not of interest because it doesn't support the argument they're trying to make. That's why it's not of interest, because it completely defeats their silly and insane interpretations of reality. It blows Copenhagen out of the water. It's done. It's over. There's no way you're going to explain how through a single slit the photon made two waves and the two waves interfered with each other. That's just fucking idiotic.
In a sense, photons and electrons probably can interfere with it.
Duh, yeah, exactly what I've said in my videos. That's exactly the fucking point. Photons and electrons, those two things go together. Electrons are the only things sensitive to photons as far as we know. Substantially sensitive. And vice fucking goddamn versa. You can't bounce a photon off an electron without changing the electron's trajectory. An electron can't absorb a photon without being altered by the experience. Likewise for the photons. That's what's causing the diffraction.
Shoulder, in a way of like manner. Though definitely photons not so much, but yeah.
Yeah, definitely photons not so much in terms of interfering with. Yeah, I don't think there's any evidence that photons interfere with each other. There's no evidence of it whatsoever. That's the very thing you're citing, the two-slit experiment as evidence, is the very thing I'm arguing has nothing to do with photons interfering with each other. It has everything to do with photons being affected by interference with electrons. The photons are encountering electrons. The electrons are changing the photon's vector. That's what's fucking goddamn happening. There's absolutely no evidence that photons affect photons. Wrong again, jackass.
It's known that photons do interact with each other in a certain sense.
In a certain sense. What the fuck does that... That's a nice vague pile of shit. It is known that photons interfere with each other in a certain sense. And the proof is the very experiment I'm arguing they're lying about. That I've proven they're lying about. Amazing.
But it's not a strong interaction. Through the same slit anyway, sort of idea.
Yeah. The very experiment you're just casting doubt on is the very experiment I'm going to use to defend the idea that it is known that photons affect photons, and it's known because of the very experiment Gary has pointed out has numerous lies built into its premises. Thank you. This is just so fucking charming, jackass.
Right. Just so briefly, I'm working on this presentation.
Yeah, who the fuck cares? I certainly don't, jackass. Dishonest jackass. Should I give you the same character of debunking of whatever you suggest is the reality? I'll just fucking trivialize anything you point out as a flaw, anything that you point out as a new theory. I'll just say something stupid like, well, squares are squares. You can't avoid a square. You can't make a square into a circle. You've got a problem with that. Where's your math? Yeah, where's your new math? You can't use old math. You have to use new math. Where's your new math? Where is it, asshole?
Second, so 24. It was 20 at the time of my talking about that. So.
Oh yeah, so he's doing Geiger counter bullshit.
Yeah, so that's that. Little rambly video on physics. I have wanted to do a bit of a reply to Inmendham on what struck me about a problem about, and believe me, I like the idea of analysing physics in terms of one single particle, but it comes with a host of problems.
Says you, again, this vague notion. It comes with a host of problems. This host of problems you're not going to describe as being anything to do with anything I've been talking about because you've completely ignored what I've talked about. I've used the word Elysium 50 times in the last, say, 5 weeks. And you're going to sit there and tell me all orbits are perfect circles.
One of which is, if you work out the distance that it can travel in terms of an orbit, for anything to be in an orbit in a fashion, there's only a certain length of string it can travel, so to speak. You know what I mean?
No, I don't. That's exactly the point. The orbit is an illusion. The nuclear bits are the thing gravitationally affected. So even the planet Earth, the idea of its center of gravity going in some smooth circle has absolutely nothing to do with what's happening atomically. That's why the sun is all stirred up, is because it isn't gravitationally connected to the rest of the orbiting bodies as a sun. It's gravitationally connected as individual little atomic bits, as quantons. And those little quantons are moving in all kinds of eccentric directions, okay, in response to their gravitational connection to the little tiny bits inside of the Earth. So likewise for the Earth, the little bits inside the Earth are not traveling some perfect circle. The atoms inside your body are not traveling some perfect circle around as the Earth spins and you're being spun on the surface of the Earth. You're not traveling in some perfect circle. You're bouncing up and down all over the place. The little bits inside of you are truly accelerating at 10 feet per second. That's what they're doing.
Velocity equals distance over time calculation. You can calculate that if it's going to be retained, it has to, and in a sense, you get a very tight band of what can constitute.
Yeah, well, whatever. Again, that's only averaging, okay? That's not what the thing is really doing. The actual little bits, all right, can actually be moving backwards and then up and then down and then way out here and then way over there. And it's only because the probabilistic outcome is going to be that they will not have 5 million heads or whatever, and they won't fly out, okay, in any kind of regularity. It could possibly happen that they fly out of their orbit, but theoretically, probability is going to demand that they will be kept being pushed in a certain direction, and the outcome in the end probabilistically will come out to this curve. But that's the average. That's not the reality. The reality is happening at 160,000 miles a second. That's where reality is, okay? And in that reality, this is happening, not this. I've made that clear. So again, this problem you say exists is not a problem. Alright, so I'm done. But, you should get what you deserve. I'll say it again. So anybody who's going to encounter your theory should give you the same, they should give you the same credible critique. They should just be as dismissive. They should basically just rationalize and make excuses for lies, the deceptions and miscalculations and misdescriptions, and they should just defend irrationally and illogically anyone who says you're wrong. That's what you deserve. That's the treatment you deserve. Because that's the treatment you've given, you fucking cunt. Good day.